The Supreme Court has attacked Black people's rights. Surprise, surprise. Basically, if it gives white people more representation, do it. If it gives Black people representation at all, don't do it. White people like me need to be speaking out against racism. I feel like all of these people in these Republican circles have never even met a Black person. Do you know what I mean? Like they've never been in the room with a Black person, like they've never sat at a table with a Black person. I feel like they're from all of these very, very white areas and they don't ever have to live around Black people. So then they make these assumptions and they have been taught white supremacy from their white supremacist fathers and grandfathers and fathers and what do they call the people in the KKK? Those people. There are two instances in particular growing up in the South that have shaped me and they define me, and I always, always have them in my heart. Both are when I was a teenager. So the instance that really sticks out to me was when I was in theater class. I think I was about 16 or 17 years old. And I think there was about 20 people in class. 3 of them were Black Americans. They were my friends. They were funny. Christine, JT, and Nicole. We're in theater class one day and this white guy walks in. His name was Brent. I knew of him. We weren't particularly close, but I didn't think much of him. He walks in with a Dixie Outfitters shirt on and it had the Dixie Outfitters logo. And I just didn't see anything. He was wearing a shirt. And I saw my friends getting visibly upset. Nicole started to cry. Christine just looked very distraught. And JT looked bewildered, and it kind of turned into anger. I didn't understand. It was so sudden that it was also something that couldn't be ignored. And I don't remember our teacher being in the room yet. So I went over to my friends and she was crying. I went over to Nicole and I said, Nicole, what's going on? She said, Brent, his shirt, I thought that he was my friend. And then I looked at it. It had this depiction of a Harriet Tubman type of figure, this stereotypical racist Aunt Jemima picture. She had cotton in her hands, and at the bottom of the shirt, it said, pick my cotton. How would I not see that? The weight of what that means, the weight of slavery, the weight of white supremacy, the weight of racism, that you're wearing a shirt that's endorsing slavery, you're wearing a shirt that's endorsing a Black woman to pick your cotton in this racist depiction with the Confederate flag all over it, and this is the shirt that you're wearing? That was the shirt that he was wearing, but I didn't even see it. That's how much white privilege that I had. Nicole, Christine, and JT picked it up in 5 seconds, all of them. They didn't even say anything to each other. 5 seconds, they saw that and what that did to them. And it didn't even register. The racism that was present. I don't remember who called over who, but then Brent and JT and Christine and Nicole started talking. Brent seemed confused. He didn't understand. He didn't understand why they were upset. He didn't think that it was offensive. It was a Dixie Outfitters shirt with a Confederate flag on it and a depiction of Harriet Tubman with cotton. And he really didn't get it. The more that they explained, the more lost he became. The hard thing was that I really think that somewhere inside of him was sorry that he had hurt them, but he also didn't fully get it. When our teacher came in, made Brent go to the front office and he had to go change his shirt. He wasn't allowed to wear that shirt anymore. But I think about that often because of how utterly racist that shirt was and how much Brent didn't understand that it was racist and how much it hurt my friends who are Black Americans and how I think of myself as an empathetic person. And I didn't see that. That was a blind spot of racism that I didn't see. And it made me think, what are other blind spots that I have in my life that I just don't see? Where are other areas where people are hurting? Their perspective isn't being taken into account. And how can I translate that to exude as much empathy and compassion as I can for the people who are the minorities or the people who are looked down upon or shunned in society for no reason other than their race or identity or sex, gender, whatever, you name it. I try as much as possible to identify those spots and to speak out for people who deserve to be protected. If I had to guess, Brent is still wearing shirts like that. If I had to guess. He hurt someone, but it doesn't matter enough to him to not wear the shirt because of what the Confederate flag means to him and the South. And I think that speaks to racism. There's covert and overt racism, and both are equally troubling. Disgusting. So the second incident is pretty interesting. I was at a party. I think I was 18. We were at a house party that my friends were living at. No adults present. And there was underage drinking. I admit it. You got me. We're drinking and we're hanging out. I'm laughing. I'm having a great time. There may or may not have been beer pong. I'm not sure. And I hear the word COON. Listen, child. I have grown and evolved. I choose my battles and I choose what I say and how I say it. Believe it or not. There are a lot of times that I censor myself. It may not seem like it, but I do. Let me tell you, when I was 18, I had a lot to say. And if I thought you needed to hear it, I was going to tell you. Okay? So I'm in this party with just a ton of white people. I hear COON, which is a racial slur for those of you who are not familiar with the term, a derogatory slur towards Black people. And I am getting supercharged. Like, I am getting fire from my veins. And I hear the word again, COON, clear as day. And I start marching up to that person who said that word because I am going to give them a piece of my mind. And I see that it's my friend Cameron, who is Black. This is a Black man in a white room. There's a lot of white people there, saying the word COON. And I look at him and he looks at me and I think, who am I to say anything to a Black man who has lived a Black experience when I'm this white woman who has never lived a Black experience and who shouldn't be able to speak to racial slurs? If this person wants to reclaim that word for themselves, that's their choice as a Black person, whether or not to say that word. These were the logical things going through my head, and my emotional, fiery self could not help it. Could not help it. Cameron, what the fuck are you thinking saying that word? In a room full of fucking white people who could be racist as all get out, why are you perpetuating a word like that? Like, do you understand what COONs, like what that means? What weight that carries when saying it in front of all these people? And he was taken aback, like, all right, okay. And he took a moment, and then we had a really powerful conversation. And I was able to understand his perspective, and he was able to understand mine. He felt very comfortable in the room with the people that he was around, and I get that because I would not hang out with racists. But I personally don't believe in reclaiming words, but that's also not my place, you know? It really isn't my place because I don't understand what it means to be Black. I haven't lived that experience, so if that's how Cameron wants to live, that's his choice. But I think he did understand what I was saying, and I think that he kind of agreed that it is important to be discerning about the rooms that you say a word like that in, if you are going to reclaim the word at all. And so that conversation stuck with me because I would have done it differently. I wouldn't have attacked him for how he chose to express himself because it's not my place. Because we need to defer to people that have lived the experience, not overpower them with our own ideas. And I had good intentions, but that doesn't always matter because we need to listen and elevate voices that understand the experience. And I truthfully do want to do that, but I feel like it's also important as a white person from the South to speak up against what's happening. It is beyond challenging to be a Black American, and anyone who says anything different just doesn't get it. And I would urge the people that say that white privilege doesn't exist to go into an all Black community as a white person and see how it feels. See how you can blend in. See how you can not stand out. See how it feels. Every day as a white person, you're able to blend in. You, as a white person, get a certain amount of privilege. You're treated a certain way. You're seen a certain way because the majority of Americans are white. And that's your lived experience. But when you're Black, you walk into a lot of all white rooms and you can't blend in. And you do stick out. And you are judged. And you are put into boxes based not on who you are, based on an idea of who you are. And the criminal justice system treats you like that because of it. And different schools let you in or not because of it. And every job that you're going to get, maybe not, because of it. Everything that you do as a Black person in America is more difficult. It just is. And if you disagree with that, look at the statistics. You would think that the religious people would be the ones that are standing up the most for Black Americans, but it seems like once again, the religious Republicans are the ones that are being racist in the name of God. Here we are. All that is necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. Let's do something.